How to lose belly fat for good. Coming up. Crew members, welcome back to the channel, friends. How you doing today? If this is your first time here on this channel though, then make sure you subscribe to the channel now and turn on post notifications, because if you're new to body training and calisthenics, then this is your home of body strength training and will be your go-to channel for sculpting a body you can be proud of through the use of calisthenics body training. So make sure you hit that button and turn on that bell so you don't miss a single video. Right, so first things first, of course, when the goal is to lose a belly fat and body fat ultimately for good, because of course if you want to lose belly fat you have to lose body fat as a whole. Of course, as I've said on this channel enough times, is that you need to be in a calorie deficit, right? And if you're new to this channel and you're not sure what a calorie deficit is, then this is basically where you consume less calories than you burn, so ultimately you can actually lose body fat, because when you're in a calorie deficit your body will use your fat stores as energy, hence how you lose body fat, right? This is the only way you are going to lose fat, my friend. And of course, if you want to see a full video of the truth of how to lose stubborn belly fat, then make sure to check out the card here, as I'll link you to one of my recent YouTube videos, which has been described by many as my best video yet, so it's definitely not something you want to miss out on. Right, so to make this video very easy to digest, I'm going to lead with a story here, and we're going to say that there is a guy named John, and John is a busy worker professional who grinds long hours, and he's done everything right in life except prioritize his own health, and he has decided that now is the time that he's finally going to take action to lose the fat he desires, right? And so after doing some research, using apps such as MyFitnessPal to calculate how many calories he roughly burns in a day to then figure out his maintenance calories, he will then determine how many calories to work with to ultimately lose body fat. So let's say with the likes of the use of MyFitnessPal, which you can download for free on the App Store, John establishes that he burns 2,500 calories a day, right? So we're gonna say 2,500 right here. So in order to lose body fat consistently in an enjoyable and sustainable way, we want to consider a 500 calorie deficit, right? So what John would want to do is to aim to consume 2,000 calories a day as a great starting point. And in terms of how much protein John should have, how much carbs, how much fats, all that good stuff, again, that is linked and as explained in the previous video I linked to in regards to the truth of how to lose body fat, so make sure to check that out if that's something you're not sure of. Assuming that this is perfect for John, if John sticks to 2,000 calories a day, he will lose body fat. And so now we're going to say that as the weeks go by, John is losing fat. He's down 5 pounds of fat, now 10 pounds. He's feeling stronger, he's feeling more confident than ever. His peers are even saying how damn good he looks in the office, and John is feeling fantastic. Good for John. That's a smiley face, by the way. But obviously, as the weeks go by, there's certain things that John has not considered when it comes to losing body fat. And so what happens as a consequence, if we just keep on doing the same thing over and over again, what's going to happen is that progress is going to start to slow down. And eventually we're going to hit a point where we don't actually lose any body fat, right? So instead of, let's say, fat loss looking like this, nice, gradual, sunshine and rainbows, sometimes there could be a point where it's literally like this. And this is ultimately a fat loss plateau. And of course, I'm not going to go into extreme details because I want to make this very easy for you to understand, but the reason why we will hit a fat loss plateau is because, of course, in John's example, as you lose body fat over time, naturally you are going to expend and burn fewer calories than before, as ultimately you lose body fat. So your body doesn't actually need to burn as many calories throughout the day to maintain its survival. Two things which are very important to consider when it comes to fat loss is your metabolism and leptin. And to keep it simple, when you lose body fat over time, because losing body fat is ultimately putting your body into a catabolic state, what happens is that your metabolism slowly slows down as you get deeper into your fat loss journey. And ultimately, leptin, which is the hormone that is responsible or controls, your hunger levels, that's going to increase. So you feel more drained, more tired, and ultimately cravings start to increase. And so instead of just binging and quitting on your journey, right, we don't want to do that. We want to actually manage this fat loss plateau, which is inevitably going to arise, in an effective way. So as this board is going to take up quite a bit, we're going to wipe it off, and ultimately we are going to establish how we can break through fat loss plateaus so we can lose belly fat for good, right? Breaking plateaus when it comes to fat loss. The first one, which is something you may want to consider earlier on in the journey, because this may actually be the ultimate reason as why you may not be losing as much fat as you'd like, is simply drop calories. Now, this is, again, fairly self-explanatory. You don't need to go excessive, like, going like 500 calories less. Literally try just like maybe a week of 100 to 200 calories less. I would honestly recommend going on the lighter side to see how things progress. And if you're still, let's say, after a couple weeks, you're decreasing calories and, you're still not losing body fat, also want to consider, which is not something I've mentioned, is refeeds. So a question mark being, because I forgot to highlight this, I apologize, is because with refeeds, what I ultimately mean is that, 1 to 2 times in the week, you want to actually be a human being and treat yourself from time to time, right? By actually slightly increasing your calories for a day or two in the week to ultimately keep your metabolism high so that you can continue expending, more calories so you can burn more body fat, right? That's something you want to consider, again, whether it's a refeed day, which if you want me to cover that in a future video, I'll make sure to do that, or, just having, a standard cheat meal, once or twice in the week. And ultimately, if you're dropping calories, you're treating yourself like a regular human being would do on your fat loss journey, it still isn't working, what you need to do is have what's known as I don't like the word diet, because of course the first 3 letters kind of indicate how effective diets are, right? But a diet break is ultimately what you want to do. And so what I mean by a diet break is simply where, instead of trying to be in a calorie deficit throughout the week, you actually want to have a time where, if we take John's example of, let's just say he was initially having 2,000 calories a day, he may want to consider going up, I should have done it the other way around, but to 2,500 calories per day, so around maintenance. And what's going to happen is that, as I mentioned before, with leptin and your metabolism, ultimately, when you have more calories, such as around maintenance level for a week or two, your metabolism is going to spike up, right? And in that time, you're not obviously going to gain any fat. It's literally just going to be water weight and retention. But ultimately, you're going to kickstart your metabolism again to the point so that when, let's say, after a week or two, you then go back down to 2,000 calories, your metabolism has literally almost been like rebooted to the point where you can continue burning the fat you desire. And so with that said, you can adjust the calories based on where you are currently at in your journey. Obviously not everyone burns 2,500 calories a day, right? But ultimately, this is really the process you want to go through, making sure you're in a calorie deficit, right, to lose body fat. And then if you feel like you're hitting a plateau, obviously if you are actually hitting a plateau, don't be impatient, my friend, fat loss takes time. You want to consider either dropping your calories to see how that goes, refeeds, whether it's a cheat meal once or twice in the week, or having a refeed, which again isn't something I've highlighted, but if you want me to cover it, I can. Or ultimately, if nothing works for weeks on end, just have a temporary break from your fat loss journey, go back to maintenance for a week or two. You're going to feel absolutely awesome. Your strength in your workouts is going to increase, your mood is going to increase, your hunger levels are going to go down, you're going to feel absolutely amazing, and man, that fat is then going to be burning off when your metabolism is in check again. And as I highlight in my free guide, my free beginner's step-by-step program, right, which you can check out down below, really when it comes to nutrition and fat loss, see it as a lifestyle, not a diet. As this suggests right here, do you really think a diet is going to work the first 3 letters kind of suggest how effective diets are. See it as a lifestyle, my friend, and ultimately you are going to be burning off that body fat for good, right? So you can finally sculpt a body you could be proud of without, you know, binge eating, quitting on your fitness journey and just looking the same, you know, for years on end. You don't want that to be happening to you, my friend, do you? So make sure you take action on this, my friend, because indecision, again, no one gets results from not taking action. You've got to take action on this, my friend. If you want this badly enough, if that even makes sense, you're going to put in the work and accept that, you know, fat loss is hard, fat loss is challenging, but ultimately the reward you get at the end of it makes the whole process very worthwhile. So when I said if you enjoyed this video and you like my content, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below that this video came in good hands to you. And also in relation to nutrition and fat loss or anything in regards to calisthenics, any problems you're suffering with right now or struggling with, make sure to comment that down below so that ultimately I can then solve that in a future video. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, my friend. And as always, as a crew member of the Gain Strength Express, keep moving forward.